Hello everyone, welcome to the Comic Game Movie Show. My name's Deshaun, and today I'm here to give you a review of a new adult cartoon show slash anime I watch called Seis Manos. I think it's Seis Manos. And Seis Manos is this very bizarre, very weirdly animated cartoon, adult cartoon about this group, that takes place in Mexico, and it has it's about this one cop who's just working this piece of shit little town. This one DEA agent sent down there to investigate something, but more on that later. Played by Mike Coulter. He's the Mike Coulter and Danny Trejo voice act in this, and they're pretty much the two biggest voice actors in this. There are some other voice actors in this, but I do not remember their names. They're Latino voice actors or Hispanic voice actors who probably have done a lot of things down there, and who've probably done a lot of things in other movies. It's kind of like the Coco cast. A lot of the members of the Coco the cast of Coco, I had no clue who they were or their name other than damn it, I always forget his name, but I got his face in my I got his face. He was in Doctor Strange. Yeah, like, it's kind of like that with this cast, so sorry if I can't name a lot of people, but I do know Mike Coulter voices the character and Danny Trejo voices the villain of the show, and this villain is like this cartel member trying to rise through the ranks, and he's this fucked up dude voiced by Danny Trejo. He's this jacked up bald guy. They called him, they kind of nicknamed him El Baldi, the Valdi, and but to get into the story of it, which is just insane. First of all, the show is the most confusing, conflicting thing I've ever seen, because the parts of the show that are actually fun, but it's so conflicting. First of all, the animation style is very similar to Young Justice, but not the early seasons of Young Justice, the new season of Young Justice. And in terms of, it looks a little cheap. Like, it has very little artistic flair to it. And now, they're doing this weird thing where it makes it look like a blaxploitation, or like, not even a blaxploitation, like an early movie, like one of those movies made in like the 80s with the little like the blips and stuff on the screen. And the way it's recorded, it looks like it's on like, on like one of the old movie reel things. Like, even they have the noises of the old movie reel things. The way it looks sometimes, it doesn't always look crystal clear. It looks like it's like filmed on a lens, like through a different kind of shade of lens, like a 1970s Hollywood lens. And sometimes it's cool, and sometimes it's just like whatever. I could take it or leave it. But sometimes the fight sequences can be really cool, because the big thing is this cartel guy played by Danny Trejo wants to take this town. And like I told you, there's this one beat cop working there who's bored out of her mind. They sent this DEA agent down there because they wanted to get rid of him, because at this point, the way it seems like is that this show has to be taking place at least in like the 90s or late 80s or early 90s, because of the vibe that it gives off. It's gotta be pretty up there, though. It's gotta be pretty up there, is all I gotta say about that. Maybe even further back, but I can't tell. It's really vague on that, because it's just really vague on that. But maybe, because you don't see cell phones and stuff, so maybe it is in like this. Maybe it is a little later in the 19th century. But I don't know. I don't remember them actually saying a date. Though no. You know what? I take that back, because Mike Coulter's character talks about how he fought in Vietnam and he came back home, and he doesn't look too much older than when he was fighting in Vietnam. So it's about around that time period. So I take that back. It's much further back than it's a little bit further back than the 90s. But anywho, about this cartel guy trying to take over this small town. Happenstance in this small town is this old wise warrior who is training these 3 orphans in martial arts. Random shit, just Chinese guy in the middle of Mexico training these kids in this random place, this garden and this place that he found. And the show starts off with this kid watching them fight, and you think, oh, let me guess, the kid is gonna be trained by them, and all certain things are gonna happen, and whatever. And Mike Coulter's character, I'll get into him in a little bit. It's pretty rough. It's pretty rough. And this cartel guy wants to take over the town now. Now this is when the show just starts to lose its shit. there are things in it that just seem insane and out of nowhere and just escalates to this insane level. And you're just like, what the fuck is this about? What is happening? And the very first thing you see is this guy, the big bald guy played by, Danny Trejo, is he takes this, like, black liquid, this, like, black powdery substance, puts it on some guy's tongue, and the guy freaks and tells his men to kill him. You think they're gonna jump this guy into the gang. That's what you think is happening. Next thing you know, the guy freaks out, his skin turns different, bones come out his back, he rigs out, and he just beats the shit. He punches those guys, he steals the rest of that black powdery shit and runs off. And, like, he's, like, animalistic, and you're just like, what the fuck just happened? And, like, literally out of nowhere, and then they explain where that came from, and it is just insane. Like, it's a mystical, like, all of a sudden, there's this crazy mystical aspect to this thing that makes almost no sense at all. It's just crazy, man. That, like, it makes, like, this it's crazy. And but the problem is, this show wants to have its cake and eat it too. With all of its craziness, with all of its stuff. Because they do cartoonish things. And all the characters are caricatures. You know, they're all types. They fit in this types, and that is what they are, and they're nothing beyond that. Problem is, like I said, they do cartoonish things. The way it's drawn is very cartoonish. I mean, literally near the end of this thing, this show can get so brutal and so downright nasty brutal, then at the same time have something as cartoonish as kids stealing guns from an entire cartel and holding them up and taking the town back. While at the same time having those cartel members, having the head guy, you know, played by Danny Trejo, El Baldi, murder every adult in the town. By the way, at this point in any other movie, but the way they play it up is like they save the town. The way they play it up, the vibe played off, even the intro is something almost out of Jackie Chan's Adventures. Like, the intro, I'm telling you, if I just showed you the intro, there's some bloody stuff in it, but if I played you the music from the intro and showed you the color plate from the intro, you would never think it's as brutal as it is. In fact, that's why I've gone off. This show came out last year. I never watched it because I thought it was made for kids because of the way it looked. And I was just like, what? And then I watch it and I'm like, they try to have both. And of course, there's this one character who is part of the trio who's a bigger set guy. He's a bigger set guy. And all of his comedy stuff is all something right out of Scooby-Doo. All except R-rated. Like, that's the thing with the vibe they're going for. It's like Scooby-Doo, but R-rated. But R-rated, and that's the kind of comedy he got. Like, sure, he drinks, he falls, he makes these jokes, I'm gonna get stupefied. Like, I'm like, can you have characters saying the word "I'm gonna get stupefied" cartoonish, like out of Scooby-Doo, and then moments later have a guy get his head punched off of his shoulders and guts blurring, and like, it's nuts, man. The show is nuts. And the thing is, Mike Coulter, as his DEA agent, is a blaxploitation character. No doubts about it. He is a 1975 blaxploitation character. No, not 75, 80s. He's like, he is all of that. He is Superfly. He is all that shit in this movie. The way he talks, every time he talks to someone, it's like, woman, you know, like the way he talks and calling people this and calling people that, his behavior, the way he is. Literally, the dude's like, the first scene you see him and he's naked talking to this dude and he's talking about, oh, I'm fucking your wife, and he is fucking his wife, but the way that the same scene is shot and framed is like it's from a blaxploitation movie. It's like I've seen those movies. My mom has watched those movies. I've seen her watching, my grandmother, I've seen her watching them. I know what they look like, and that's what his character was. But his character never was outside that box. Right down, and like the only character who was remotely normal, because no one in this is normal, is the cop. That's it. Everyone else is over the top, exaggerated versions of what you think they are. Of course, their master is this Shifu / Shredder / you know, whatever you want to talk about a Chinese, Mr. Miyagi. He's all of those things put into one. But like, it's crazy. Like I said, this show could not make up its mind. Like, 1 minute to do something brutal, the next minute to do some slapsticky, crazy shit that you're just like, what in the hell is this? And like I said, like, and then there's some whole subplot with fucking Al Baldi and his mother. His mother's a bruja, which is a witch. Figure that out. I knew what a bruja was. It was a witch. His mother's a witch. And like some crazy shit happened with his mom. His mom's the reason she was giving him the ability to make monsters. He's like, but if you eat too much of this shit, you'll turn into this bloodthirsty beast that can only be murdered by fire. It's fucking nuts, man. And it's just throwing shit. And then, all of that, when you think all of that would just be enough to cover everything, all of a sudden, the master, I think his name was, I can't remember what his name was. The master had a fucking brother, but it turns out it wasn't his brother, who was evil, showed up for something that wasn't even hinted at, that you didn't even think about until like later on in the show. Like, the show just keeps throwing shit at you, honestly, just relentlessly throwing shit at you. But the thing is, this show is not good. But my God, is it interesting. My God, is it interesting. Holy shit, is it interesting. It ain't good. But I tell you what, it's worth a watch. Just to wrap your mind around what they're doing. I've never seen anything quite like that. The art style, some of the humor, hell, some of the things they want, even some of the actual beats in the actual story are right out of a Cartoon Network show, or right out of like something like just something out of a Cartoon Network show, out of just name your like long form story told Cartoon Network show, like Cartoon Network show that you just know this is how it would go in that, like a Scooby-Doo episode or something along those lines, or something like that, like a Totally Spy, like something like that. The way they'll structure it, but then they subvert it, while at the same time trying not to, because like I said, they murdered all these, you don't see that coming. You think, oh, they're going to save the people, they're going to come back, they're going to save at least they're going to do is save this town. No! All the adults are murdered, brutally murdered. But then they do something as silly as the kids tricking all the cartel members and getting their guns and taking the town back. Like, it's like, what? Like, they do that shit, and it's just nuts. It's just nuts. The thing is, after a while, you get so used to this janky, ridiculously over-the-top, all-over-the-place thing that eventually you kind of go, I don't know. I don't know if this show's going to get a second season. I haven't heard anyone talk about it. It's not on the Watch Mojo. It's not on their most watch list. It's not on any, so, it probably got canceled. But my word, it was definitely interesting, to say the least. So, thank you guys for joining the Comic Guy Movie Show. That is my review of Seis Manos. Sorry, Seis Manos. And it's a bizarre cartoon show. It's an bizarre adult cartoon show that sometimes make absolutely no sense, but sometimes it has really badass action sequences. Sometimes the action sequences are really badass. And like, when the action is going, all the other stuff can kind of drift away. And then when it stops, it rushes back, man. It rushes back. So thank you guys for joining me on the Comic Game Movie Show. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.